Hey everybody, welcome back to Save Your Game, and welcome to the campaign of Bardsung, Legend of the Ancient Forge. Before we do anything else, we're going to read this flavor text as we begin our journey into the Ancient Forge. The Ancient Forge is the name given to a desolate ruin on the edge of the murk mist forest, an abandoned citadel sitting at the bottom of a great depression. It is rumored to be the entrance to an underground city, created during the golden age of the gods, although no such evidence for this exists, beyond words driven by years of superstition. The local populace has long regarded the ancient forge as a cursed and haunted place, and have avoided it for generations. Any attempt to explore the depths by outsiders have been looked upon with a mixture of scorn and bemusement. A few have received even the slightest assistance in their preparations, yet there may be some undeniable truth to the villagers' folk tales. Those few explorers and would-be heroes who dared venture into the depths were either never heard from again, or have emerged as raving lunatics, babbling endlessly of strange and unimaginable sights. No one can rightly say why the hobgoblins came to the ancient forge from their homes in the Murkmist forest, although the evidence of what came to pass in the weeks that followed is far clearer. Before long raids on local settlements and trade caravans became commonplace over long months, the raids became increasingly violent, and the people that were unable to flee forced to cower in fear. But redemption is at hand. Word has traveled far and wide, and the desperate pleas of the village elders have at last brought their plight to the attention of a band of mighty heroes. Those same brave souls now venture into the ancient forge to rescue the villagers that have been taken and to put an end to the brutal raids. But as the quest progresses, they'll discover the true story of this place, for there is far more here than the machinations of a simple warlord and her tribe. So welcome to the adventure book. We started off in the couple tutorials looking through this book that comes in Bardsung, which is the rule book and tutorial setup book, but this book is the adventure book, and it is much denser. There's a lot to see here in the adventure book. So we followed through the rule sections that are added in the rule book, and there's a few little rule things that we have to set up here before we begin the campaign as well. Over on this side, you'll notice up here we have a reputation track. Some choices we make will either increase or decrease our reputation. And up there you'll see near where the fate tokens are 4 other kinds of resources. And I won't necessarily bog down a lot of the opening of this video with the added stuff, and we'll talk about it as soon as we get there. But there are campfire tokens, charm tokens, toolkit tokens, and health potions. And they all do different things that we can use different times on our turn. We also have a ton of card decks now. You'll remember in the exploration tutorial that we each deck had 1 card in it. The decks, the dungeon room decks, the challenge aspect decks, and the battle aspect decks are all much thicker now, and also, of course, the corridor decks have been put together based on what we have. Let's see what else we could talk about. There's some different stuff that you add to the game if you're playing with less than 3 heroes, which we don't have to apply. These squire cards you don't have to apply. And there's some solo 1 hero stuff that's added as well. And we're not going to have to worry about any of that stuff. We'll talk a little bit about chapters as we go, but let's not do a ton right now. Let's look at chapter 1 of the campaign guide and jump in. There's nodes, and there's different pathways we can take as we travel to different nodes in each chapter. The nodes, there are multiple in each chapter, and I think there are about 30 chapters in this first campaign book of Bardsung. We have another one that came in the Lost Legion expansion, so we could play this game for a really, really long time. We chose some different heroes than what you saw in our videos on the tutorials. We're keeping Wild Shell because we like him, and I picked Path Seeker. I've always enjoyed bow and arrow combat and ranged combat, ranger type stuff, and then a Forge Warden, who I think is about the best tank we have. So we have a tank, we have a ranged option, and then we have kind of a support class in the wild shell. So I think we'll have a fairly balanced party, and it seems like things really ramp up in difficulty if you choose more than 3 heroes. You ignore the circled runes on each room and corridor card, meaning if you weren't ignoring those, you would spawn more enemies, and it just seems like the best option for us. We were also able to earn 3 XP for each hero because we completed tutorials, and I'll show you what each hero got now. So one of the things you can do in the upkeep phase in between sessions is spend your XP. And there weren't necessarily suggestions on what to do for the expansion Fables characters. There are suggestions on what to do with that initial 3 XP earned for the original heroes that came in the core box, Wild Shell being one of them. So what I did for Pathseeker is I just spent 3 XP to pay the face value to increase his dexterity to 3. So that's one thing you can do with XP in between encounters, is pay to increase a stat. And his attack here is a dex-based stat, so I thought it'd be good just to go ahead and increase his dex to 3. That's what we've done. He also has 2 other abilities, Caltrops, which is a fate cost ability, which allows him to basically make it tricky to follow him around if anyone moves into his area. After you use Caltrops, they can roll a d6, and on a 6, they take a wound. So we're throwing a trap down. We also have a Hunter's Prey, which is an explore action ability that allows us to do some different things if we explore with this particular character. Their fate replenishing ability is called Kill Shot. If they take out an enemy and remove that card from the marching order, it replenishes 2 fate, which is pretty awesome. They have no defense bonus, but they have 5 health, a range of 2. Their damage die is a d6, and their movement's 3, so they're pretty quick. And I liked that on a hit you could deal a wound, and on a crit you could deal 2 wounds and dodge out of the space with Snapshot. So looking forward to using Pathseeker. And just so you know, if you pick new characters apart from the ones you use the tutorial for, the rules say that you can indeed start with 3 XP to save or to do anything that you would like to increase their chances of starting the campaign out on the right foot. This is the Forge Warden. This is our tanky character. Their fate replenishing ability allows them to gain a luck token if they replenish fate, which is interesting. And you'll notice here that on a crit with Mechanica Strike, they replenish fate just by critting there, which is awesome. They also have a Crusader Strike, which deals a wound on a hit, and on a crit deals a wound, but also pushes. And the way that I spent their XP is I did the same thing I did with Pathseeker. I increased their ability score that is tied to their 2 attacks to +3. So another thing you can do with the 3 XP that you earn for completing the tutorials is buy new ability cards. It doesn't seem to me in the rules that there are any limit to the amount of abilities that your character can have in their repertoire, but it does seem like you would reach this threshold with buying abilities to where you can't level them up at some point, because you also need XP to level up your ability cards. And so if you just keep buying abilities, they'll never get more powerful, and you would probably hit this wall at some point in the game as the difficulty increases. But we did go ahead and buy Ghost Lights, which is an ability specific to Wild Shell, and there's a chance that you can actually buy different abilities from the decks of other heroes. But if this symbol is here, it means that only Wild Shell can use this, and this one's called Ghost Lights. And it's when they make a damage roll against an enemy in the same zone as a ghost token, which we put out at the beginning of our turn because of our Driftwood Staff. It always crits on a 4 or higher, regardless of the toughness of the enemy. So that's pretty awesome. And if we do cause a critical hit there, we remove the ghost token. We actually spin it up. So that's what we have for Wild Shell. So as we look at the chapter section here in the book, as it begins, we have a legend, and we have nodes here on the left side, which I mentioned a little bit earlier, and then a different number of pathways here, and then runes, which tell us what kind of crawl we're going to do. So for the node, there's a node number, just a reference number to know where you are. There is a number of treasures found. If there's going to be lost treasure within this particular chapter, it'll tell you when you're playing in that node how many treasure tokens to put out. There's a narrative entry that you read. The narrative entries are in the back of this book, and you do that when you first enter the node, I believe. There's a rune for the node, which again tells us which crawl we're going to do. Most of the one early on, I think we're going to face a standard crawl, which means you have to get from the middle of the board to the other side, the far side of the board. We'll talk about the other kinds later when we get there. And then whether it's an entrance or an exit. The pathways are such. There's an unrestricted pathway, which means you can travel either way. There's a restricted pathway, which means you can only go one way. A locked pathway, a narrative pathway. First time you travel it means you have to read something in the back. And then a secret passage pathway. So that's it. Let's read a little bit of flavor text here and go ahead and make the first decision of the campaign. The skies are painted a crimson hue by the time you draw close to your destination, the setting sun casting elongated shadows from behind the trees. Each is the silhouette of a dagger ready to strike, just as you are at the hobgoblins. Although the rich color reflects warmth in your eyes, rather than murderous intent. Your guides have long departed, years of ingrained fear, too much for them to bear. It's of little matter. The land had already begun to take a downward slope as you approach the depression, and you can follow the aged dirt path the rest of the way. You even have a map, drawn by a venerable dwarf villager, that claims to have ventured into these depths during his youth, complete with the scribbles of where enemies are most likely to be hiding. Ahead, a mysterious figure awaits. They wear a long cloak, with hood drawn up to conceal their face. Greetings, heroes. Their voice is difficult to place, curiously flat without accent. I commend your bravery this night, and the great undertaking you are about to make. Yet it occurs to me there is perhaps an alternative to the obvious path you follow. Your enemies will doubtless have posted guards where they are encamped. Are you so eager to see their steel bared? The stranger gestures to a trail that departs from your current path, the stony gravel far older than the dirt you stand upon now. You notice their protruding finger is skeletal thin and extremely pale. Another route lies upon the stone path yonder, and amongst the ruins. Such passages might even yield precious treasures the fiends are yet to uncover. Surely such wonders might allow you to have the upper hand against them when you hunt them later. Hunt them to their lair. Whoops, this is falling apart. Their piece said, the mysterious stranger abruptly departs, gliding down the path they indicated. I shall await you at the bottom, brave heroes. I suspect you, and I shall become well acquainted this evening. Yeah, don't trust this guy at all. But I've read just a little bit ahead just to get my mind around how the game is going to work from here on out. And I know that we're faced with the first choice. If you want to investigate the ruins and see if there are any truths to the stranger's claims, progress to Chapter 1. If you'd prefer to remain on the trail and hope the hobgoblins lead you to their captives, progress to Chapter 2. And we're going to go ahead and choose Chapter 1. Don't trust this guy at all, but that just seems like the more interesting choice at the moment. So yeah, here we go. This is the layout of a chapter that you'll face in the Bardsung chapter book, adventure book. I keep calling it chapter and campaign book, but it's the adventure book. So this is the outer ruins. We're not quite to the ancient forge, I don't believe, but we're here at the outer ruins. And knowing that, I read ahead a little bit, I went ahead and prepared the card decks. There's an initial deck that the game tells you to make right at the beginning of this book, but each chapter is going to have its own aspect decks, whether a challenge or battle deck, and then a lost treasure deck. So if there's a particular node that has treasure in it that we pointed out before, and we find the right token that allows us to draw a treasure card, it'll be from that particular deck. We've retrieved the top 4 cards from the treasure deck, shuffled them all together, and created this chapter's lost treasure deck. So here we go. 4 cards ready for the plucking. Don't know what's in there, but I just drew the top 4 that we had. So we also have a progress tracker. We have XP based on goals that we are going to try to complete throughout the chapter. If we complete the first encounter, 1A, or if we complete a certain number of encounters, So 1, we can get an XP if we complete 2. 1, 2, we can have another XP. 3, another XP. If we discover any lost treasure, we get an XP. And if we complete the chapter, we get 3 more XP, which is awesome. So that we know there's a certain amount of enemies that we're going to face and wandering monsters that we're going to face and terrain. None of that ever really changes for the whole chapter, which is great. So I've put aside the brutes, brigands, and raiders. Brigands are drawn on 2 different types of runes. Brutes have their own and raiders have their own. And also there are 4 cards that make up the wandering monster deck. That's a mechanic I'll explain when we get to it, but it's something that's added to the end phase of each round. We no longer just shuffle the marching order. We have something to complete, which is called an event roll, which might be really bad news for us if we roll a 1 or a 2 on it. There's also 1 type of terrain we're going to see, which is a banner token. I'll get to that if that pops up for us. So that's about it. We're here in this first node. We know this rune is a standard crawl. These stairs tell us this is the entrance. There is a standard pathway between node 1A and 1B, so there's 2 encounters fairly closely linked. And we'll go ahead and set that up now and begin playing. We have this neat token right here, which is our party token, and we'll place that here on 1A to help us remember that that's where we are. So the Outer Ruins says this: the dusty track begins to slope underfoot as you draw closer to the ancient forge. The gradient, gentle at first, grows increasingly steep with each step, until the night sky is replaced by the rim of the gully you're descending into. Even in the darkness, cracks and fissures are visible along the walls. It's as if the land has been dragged irrevocably downward by something, towards the sunken ruins. That doesn't bode well for where we're going in the ancient forge. I'm sure there's some wonderful evil down there. Yet despite its sinister appearance, the deepening well matches the pull within you. Your heart soar, filled with the spirit of adventure and the promise of legendary deeds. Each of you can still recall all too well the mysterious stranger's words, although the hobgoblins do indeed need to be punished. Other trials await in the depths, even more worthy of Bardsung legend. Eventually you arrive at the bottom of the trail. Here, caught in the craw of the earth, a cold mist shrouds the foreboding. Ruins and strange unnatural sounds emanate from the shadows. This will be no place to strike camp for the night, but that's of little matter. Your sense of duty demands. You push ever onwards, and the only pause you'll countenance is for a mouthful of provisions before resuming your search for a way in. ... ellipses. Okay, fell apart there at the end, but these are long paragraphs. That's it for now in the adventure book, so we'll put that down, leaving it close by so we can reference the runes and the enemies we need to draw. So first turn of this campaign, and we have Pathseeker up first, Forge Warden, and Wild Shell. I've spent a little bit of time chatting in the comments on the previous Bardsung videos that I've done, and the consensus seems to be that this particular zone is actually this particular tile is a 4-zone tile, because page 35 of the rules talks about doors and how there are 3 zones that doors will go on. So it seems like it's a separate zone, contrary to what I may have just said in the previous video. But because of that, we're going to say we have to move 1 space in order to explore next. And here we go. Let's begin with Pathseeker's turn. So I think we'll just go, what the heck, let's go left. We'll move 1 as our first action, and then we will do the explore action. And since we're in a room, we need to draw a corridor card. So here we go. Okay, not much on it, but we do have 2 portals. We do have an enemy rune where they would spawn there, and we do get to draw a challenge aspect card. So let's find that tile first. Looks like it's the one with the bridge in the middle. 3-zone tile with a bridge with an exit up at the top and an exit down at the bottom, the opposite side. Again, I wish there was just a reference number so you could easily know which one's which. They're pretty similar tiles, but there are some with just enough like differentiation to where it might be a little confusing. I think this is it. No, see, this is similar, right? You've got a portal, and a secret passage, but it's facing the wrong way. I mean, we could do that. But that's not the exact one. I don't know, you guys. There it is. That's the same one. Isn't it? So we can't do that. We have to go out like this because we can't actually make it work to where it would actually head us to the direction we want to go. So it's important to just really check and make sure you're looking at those correctly. All right, let's draw our challenge aspect card. But when we explore, we move the hero that explored to the first zone on what's called the active tile. This is the active tile now. And let's draw a challenge card. These are exciting. I think these are always fun. Combat's great, but these are fun. Haunted cries. For a moment, you think you hear something unnatural. Surely not. Place a number of timer tokens on this card corresponding to the number of heroes. We have 3 heroes, so we place 5. During the end phase, discard a token. If there are no tokens to discard, retrieve card C174 from the challenge aspect vault and shuffle it into the deck, then return this card to the vault. Fun. I love this stuff. Okay. This symbol down here means we earn a gold for experiencing this challenge. And we have a shared pot up here on the top of the board. It'll go up there. You'll just have to trust me that I'm being honest with the gold that we have. Yeah, okay. Well, that was it. That's exciting. But let's go ahead and put this. It's a timer card, so we'll put it down here in the marching order and get 5 timer tokens for it. All right. Up next, we either have Wild Shell or Forge Warden. They can each only move 2, so I think we'll have Forge Warden take a double movement turn. Oh, let's turn our cards. 1, 2 for first action, and 1, 2 for second action, moving up this way. And that'll be it for Forge Warden. And I think we'll do the same thing for Wild Shell. 1, 2, 1, 2. Pathseeker moves a little quicker. He's got 3 movement, but of course his turn was over after the exploration. Discard that corridor card. We do our initiative. Before we shuffle initiative, though, we get to the end phase. This is something that's a little bit different than the tutorials. And in it, we'll do an event roll. If we have more, or if we have at least 3 tiles out, we only have 2 tiles. We're going to skip the event roll for this turn, but we do reconcile any other timed things or abilities that happen at the end of the round. So we will have to remove a timer token here off the Haunted Cries challenge aspect card. All right, and with that, let's deal a new order for round 2. Wild Shell, Forge Warden, Path Seeker. Yeah, double checking the end phase here. Yeah, it's a delayed aspect card, not a timed aspect card. Okay, make the event roll. If there are less than 3 tiles in the playing area, skip this step. Collect and shuffle hero cards. Resolve any effects, hero ability cards. Yep. All right. Round ends and new round begins. So Wild Shell, first and foremost, I think we'll need to explore. So let's do that action. And we'll draw a room card since we're all in a corridor. Oh, and we find a dead end. How about that? So that was not the right way to go. Grab a dead end token here. See, it's like this broken ladder hanging out there. Yep. Okay, wow. All right, well, we explored, so we have one more action with Wild Shell, and that was our room card. Okay. So let's move back. We'll go 1, 2 back here to Path Seeker's spot. We'll take Forge Warden's turn, which I think is going to be double movement. Boom, boom. 3, 4 for double movement. He'll be right here. And then Path Seeker can move 3, so he will make it to the front door, front facing door, I should say, and do an explore action there. So let's do that. Corridor card. Here we go. No enemies yet. This is like making me nervous. I feel like we're just going to get a ton of enemies here at the end. All right, we have a right angle. I guess we'll go the opposite way because we don't want to bump into any other tiles on our way. Yeah, there we go. So here's the 2-portal right angle tile with a boat in the middle, and we'll place it here. And that was Path Seeker that did that. Then we'll move forward here, and we'll draw another challenge aspect card. There we go. A Foolish Raider. They've fallen into their own pit trap and now wail away loudly. Choose one of the options below. Rescue it, or leave the creature in the pit. This is an immediate card, so we just make this decision and that's it. I think we'll rescue it. We get a coin. Yeah, this hero suffers, I think it's like an overburdened card. Let me double check. And then we discard this card. All right. Not sure why it was so good to rescue it. I don't know. That just seems like the nice thing to do. So we'll double check what that means. That's fatigue. The hero suffers disadvantage on the next action roll. And then discard the token. Okay. We can do that. That's the end of that round. And look, we do have 3 tiles out, so we will do the event roll. What happens on the event roll is that we roll a d6, and on a 6, we would activate any terrain that we see, which we don't have any at the moment, so that won't happen. And then on a 1 or a 2, we activate an echo token, which, if it gets to us, would be a wandering monster, not roaming monster. And those can be pretty nasty. If the echo token is placed in the same area as the heroes, that's when we put a wandering monster out. And because we have just one area right now, it would just automatically activate. And it says that it would go, I believe it's not portal, but this rune token here. It'll pop up on the closest one. I will double check that in just a moment. Well, actually the moment's here, so let's go ahead and roll this d6, see if we need to do that. It's a 3. Okay, so the event roll passes. We don't necessarily have to do anything for now. We'll remove another timer token from the Haunted Cries card, and then we'll deal a new order. All right, first up we have Path Seeker, then Wild Shell, then Forge Warden. On Path Seeker's turn, we will go ahead and move 2 zones. And I'm wondering if we should go ahead and explore with this many heroes far back. I feel like we have to. We want to keep moving forward, and he's nimble enough to where I think we can move back. One of the things I liked about him is that he's a ranged character, so he's got good attack options. But he has no defense bonus, but he has 5 health, which is pretty good. But with that defense bonus, it can get whittled down pretty quick. So yeah, we'll go ahead and explore, I think. It's a little risky with all of our party being spread out like this, but I think we can get to him quick enough. Definitely in the next turn. Forge Warden, well, we could double move with Wild Shell and be right there in the fray too. All right, let's go ahead and do it. We're going to draw another tile with the Explore action. So here we go. This time it's a room because we're in a corridor. And here we go. Now we've got some action. Okay. Let's find that tile and then we can put out enemies. Okay, so we've got the tile out. We've put some enemies on it. We've got 2 raiders and a brigand. We need to draw a battle aspect card, which we just pulled one here, and it's a spear trap. A spear hangs from the ceiling. Is there a way to use it to your advantage? If the heroes have a lever token, we do not. Defeat an enemy of this hero's choice, then discard the token. So we don't have that. We can't do that. But what we can do is this hero, assuming the one that explored, can spend a toolkit to make a TN, a target number 8 charisma check action roll. If they pass, defeat an enemy of the hero's choice. That could be good, except for the fact that we have disadvantage on our next action roll. And we actually need to move Pathseeker in here because he explored. I feel like it might be worth it anyway. A toolkit is a token that we've added for the campaign. This wasn't in any tutorial, and it allows us to do a certain number of things, including trigger some target number rolls. But unlike fate tokens, they don't just reset at the end of an encounter. We have to pay gold to reset them. But this is fun. Let's go for it. I think we'll go for it. We'll expend a toolkit up here. Here's what they look like in case you can't see. Little hammer and chisel. We'll expend that, and we'll make a disadvantage charisma check. And if we pass, 8 is fairly low. If we pass, we get to just to defeat an enemy of our choice. So let's go ahead and try it. So straight roll, no bonuses, but we're taking the lower. The lowest is a 12, which means we pass, which is awesome. Okay, we'll get rid of our token here, which gave us disadvantage. And we get to defeat an enemy of our choice. I feel like the raiders are a little more annoying, so we'll go ahead and take this raider out. I'm not sure if we get gold for that. We get gold for just taking them out with attack rolls, but I kind of assume we do. Might not be the right judgment call. You can tell me what you think in the comments, but I'm going to say we get to take the gold for that, even though they're not out in the marching order. I know it says in the rules, I can remember that if you take out an enemy from the marching order, if you close a door and close them off, that doesn't earn you gold, but I feel like this says defeat an enemy because of a spirit trap. We're going to call it defeating. All right, so time to grab their cards. Shuffle a new initiative order. There we go. Forge Warden, Raider, Brigand, Wild Shell, Pathseeker. Pathseeker is just up there on his own now, and he gets to go last. My goodness. Oh, you know what? When we haven't looked at the Hunter's Prey yet, which is if Pathseeker makes an explore action, the first attack in the following round has empowered attack and damage rolls. Oh, that's awesome. All right, we'll definitely use that. I think we explored here, but we didn't have a round that had combat in it, so it wouldn't have mattered. But we got to remember those passive explore action abilities that we have now that we're in the campaign. Okay, so first up is Forge Warden. He can move 2, which we'll absolutely do. And I think we just go double movement because we can't really do anything else. So let's go boom, boom, and stare down this Brigand. Next up is going to be the Raider. Let's go ahead and draw the behavior trait cards and see what they're going to do. All right, so I went ahead and moved the behavior trait cards for these 2 enemy types just right here in frame, so we know what we can do with them. The Raider is up first, and he starts with a cautious behavior and then a retreat behavior. The first thing we do is we go down the line of their possible behaviors, and the first one we see here is attack the closest hero. So the closest hero would actually be in this zone, but there are 2 of them, and we know that the rules tell us that if there's a tie for a particular favored hero here, or favored target, I should say, then we go with the enemy that has the highest initiative. In this case, that's going to be Forge Warden. So let's make a defense roll with the Forge Warden. This is a +3 defense roll. All right, that's a 19, and that'll do it. Plenty of defense there from the Forge Warden. So that's it for the Raider's turn. They do have a retreat behavior trait here as well, but this only applies if they're in the same zone as a hero. They try to move up their speed towards the closest zone that doesn't contain a hero. And if the enemy doesn't have sufficient speed, it won't move at all. So it'll just attack us once. We'll deflect it with our large shield there, and that'll be it for the Raider's turn. Next up is the Brigand. The Brigand is ferocious, so he wants to first and foremost attack a hero in the same zone. Can't do that. And then he wants to charge a hero in an unengaged zone which these guys are unengaged at the moment with combat. So he'll charge into there, and I think again target Forge Warden because the initiative is higher. So let's make another +3 defense roll. And that time it's an 11. The target number for the Brigand is 9, so again, another miss. It's nice having a big old tank in the party. So that'll be it for the Brigand's turn. All right, next up is Wild Shell. They will double move, double dash, 1, 2, 3, 4 to get as close as possible. But we also know, because of the Driftwood Staff, that we can put ghost tokens in the same area up to 5 zones away. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We could just put one there. So it's probably not worth it at the moment. So we won't do that just yet. And now, okay, yeah, we moved up. We can't do anything else. That'll be it for Wild Shell. Next up is Pathseeker. And let's do this. We do get an empowered attack and damage roll, which is awesome. So we'll go ahead and shoot back at the guy farther away from us from that raider so he can stop picking us off. So here we go, an empowered attack roll because of Hunter's Prey. And this is a snapshot ability that we're using. On a hit, we deal 1 wound. On a crit, we could deal 2 and take the raider out automatically. Ooh, that is a 1. So that's definitely gonna miss. We can't use that again. We can't use the same ability twice. So we'll just use Caltrops, which we'll spend a fate to do so. And anytime an enemy moves into our zone, we roll a d6. And on a 6, they'll get wounded. It's just we're just laying a trap for everyone. So let's expend that fate token. And that'll do it for that turn. Okay, a little dicey here, but that's okay. Let's gather these cards up. Before we put out a new marching order, though, we need to do the event roll. And we have more than 3 tiles out, so we'll go ahead and roll that. On 1 or 2, we trigger the Echo token. It's a 3, so we're still good there. We'll take another counter off of Haunted Cries, 2 left. And we'll deal out a new marching order. Not looking, not looking, not looking. Brigand, Pathseeker, Wild Shell, Raider, and Forge Warden. Okay. First up is the Brigand. We'll look at their behavior trait card. They're ferocious, so attack a hero in the same zone. This time, Pathseeker is the highest initiative. And so we'll roll a defense roll with them. Just a straight roll. And it's a 19, so we're good there. The attack misses. They were confused by double enemies in their spot. That'll do it for their turn. Now Pathseeker can try again. Let's make up for that pitiful display last time. Oh, and you know what? I'm just realizing that Caltrops just lasts till the end of the round, so that was kind of a waste. Kind of a waste there. Because the round ended immediately because he was last. Oh well. Let's go ahead and empower the roll. Spinning a fate. And we'll roll here with a snapshot. Much better that time. That is going to be a 24 to hit, which is just insane. And let's see if we crit. The damage die for Pathseeker is a d6. We'll crit on a 4 or greater. And that's a 6. All right, so we'll crit. We'll go ahead and take out the Brigand right off the bat there. We also get to dodge, which allows us to move a space. I think we'll move, let's see. If we move back, we'll be out of range of this guy. Let's just move over to the side. You know, actually, I like where we are. I think we're gonna just stay there. Even though we're still in range of the Raider, we're not so close to... Yeah, I like where we are. Okay, because we defeated a brigand, we get a gold. We'll put that in the pot. And also, we need to look at the ability on Pathseeker's card, which is called Kill Shot. If Pathseeker defeats an enemy and removes their card from the marching order, we replenish 2 fate. We have done that because we took out the one and only brigand. So I'll get to replenish these 2 fate here. Card back. They just attacked once. I'm not sure we want to do caltrops again. Yeah, we'll just do. You know what? I think I will use the dodge action, or even just our second movement, to pop up here, so we could be ready to explore again. I feel like exploring is always worthwhile with Pathseeker because we get a pretty awesome ability if we explore. Okay, that's the end of their turn. Next up is Wild Shell. Let's throw a ghost token up in the spot of the Raider. And I think we will move 2 spots up here. That's our max movement. And then we'll go ahead and do a curse. If we inflict a condition upon the Raider with curse, because of Soul Seer, we can get a fate right back. So let's go ahead and make it an empowered roll. This is a +2 roll here. All right, yeah, that's handily hit a 21. So we'll let's inflict weaken on them so their attacks are at disadvantage. Go ahead and replenish a fate because of Soul Seer. Just as a reminder, when an enemy in the same zone as a ghost token gains a condition token, replenish a fate. That's what we just did there. And let's see if we crit at all. This is the ability that we bought here at the beginning of the campaign, which is Ghost Lights. And what it says is when Wild Shell makes a damage roll against an enemy in the same zone as a ghost token, it always causes a crit on a 4 or higher. If the attack causes a crit, remove the ghost token. So it's good if the toughness, is out of reach. Say on tougher enemies, if their toughness is like 6. If we roll a 4, regardless of if it's below their actual toughness, it's still a crit because of Ghost Light, which is cool. So let's roll here. It's a 2, so it's not a crit, but we did weaken this enemy, which is good. And that is 2 actions for Wild Shell. Okay, so the Raider is up next. They have a target number of 10, so any defense rolls you roll against the attack needs to hit a 10. And let's look at their Cautious card. The first thing they're going to do is attack the closest hero, which actually in this case is Pathseeker now. And this roll is actually going to be at disadvantage because we weaken them. I'm sorry, we get it, not disadvantage. It feels like disadvantage if you play D&D. It's advantage on our defense roll because we rolled for defense, which is not like D&D. Rolling these kind of dice always takes me to a pen and paper scenario. So I'm still getting used to that. So our defense roll is at an advantage because this enemy is weakened, which is good because we have no defense bonus. Here we go. We have to get a 10. And we did. We have a 14 for our highest one. So that's good. So they miss. We'll take away the weakness token. And that'll be it for their turn. They won't retreat because they're not in the same zone. They're definitely cornered. This Raider is not in a good spot, especially since Forge Warden's up next. All right, so let's take a look at the Forge Warden's 2 ability cards that we have here. That are active, and here's the passive one. This is their Explore trait called Bastion. We'll look at that if that ever comes up. But they have 2 options on their turn in terms of attacks. They have a Mechanica Strike, which is a charisma-based attack. On a hit, we deal a wound. A crit, we deal a wound. And then we also Inspire. This means that we get to replenish fate, which is awesome. We also have a Crusader Strike, which costs us a fate. We deal a wound on a hit. Crit, we also deal a wound, and we get to push an enemy. But before the attack is resolved, the Forge Warden can be placed in an adjacent zone. That's awesome if you're like right next to an enemy you want to attack, but don't want to use your first action for movement. You can just pop on over because of Crusader Stride. You can just do that and be right there in their space. So we do have to use a movement though. So we're going to do that. We're going to get all up in the Raider space and move 2. And they're at disadvantage against physical attacks. So we'll get to roll 2 dice for this attack, plus a 3. All we have to do is figure out which particular ability we want to use. Let's use Mechanica Strike. We'll get a fate back on a crit, but we can't necessarily do that because we don't have any fate expended, but we'll just take that, cross that bridge when we come to it. So here we go, an advantage strike against the Raider. It's a disadvantage because of their physical vulnerabilities. That's how the rules put it. All right, looking for a 10. This is plus 3. And 8 plus 3 is an 11. That'll do it. Let's go ahead and roll our damage die. In this case, it's a d6. And the toughness of the Raider is a 4. Here we go. All right, so that's a 3. So we're not going to crit on Mechanica Strike, but we will deal a wound because of it. So here we go. We're going to put that wound token right here. Show that they are hurt. And we'll end Forge Warden's turn and move on to the event roll. All right, here we go. Event roll is a 3. Another 3. Interesting. So no echo token being placed yet, which is good. We'll move the ticker down on Haunted Cries, and we'll reshuffle the marching order. All right, so in the new marching order, we have the Raider, then Pathseeker, then Wild Shell, then Forge Warden. So let's go ahead and take a look at the AI card. They're going to attack the nearest hero, and you'll see here, looks like that was going to be Forge Warden. So let's do a resilience roll, which is what they call defense at plus 3. All right, that's a 15 plus 3 is 18. Plenty of resilience to not get hit there. And the Raider is going to back up, retreat to its nearest spot, which is going to be right here. That's it for their turn. So Pathseeker can take an attack from where they are right now, since their range is 2. Let's go ahead and make that attack roll, and I'll just double check here. That's what we want to do. Yeah, we'll do a snapshot, and then they can hopefully take them out with a hit or crit. So here we go. Here's a plus 3 roll. Oh no, that is going to be a 6. So that's not going to do it. Yeah, that's not going to be able to take them out. That stinks. Okay, it's all right. That's the way it goes with dice rolls. So let's end their turn there. I don't think we want to do anything else. Wild Shells go. We'll move a ghost token over here, and then we will try to curse them with an attack roll at plus 2. All right, attack. Oh man, that is a 2. Plus 2 is 4. These rolls. We'll try again. Let's roll again. We can do curse twice. And here we go. That's more like it. That is a 19. That's going to hit. Let's see if we crit by rolling the damage die, which is a d4. We crit on anything if we roll a 4, because there's a ghost token in that spot. And it's a 3. So no crit, but we will inflict damage on them. So or a condition, I should say. And that is going to replenish some fate for us. Yeah. All right, and that'll do it for Wild Shell. And lastly, let's see if we can finish off with Forge Warden. I know exactly what we'll do. We'll do this Crusader Stride, which we can, before we move into the spot, before we attack, we can move into that spot. So we'll do that, and we'll get double advantage against this person because of Bane and because of their physical vulnerability, but That's not really a thing. We'll just get a single advantage. And here we go. That is going to be a natural 20, which is awesome, plus 3. If we roll a 20 or a 1 on any roll, we get to replenish fates. We'll do that up there. And we will crit them and be able to move them. Not that it matters. So, Raider is dead. We'll move Bane. We'll move the wound. That should do it. And let's look at the Forge Warden's fate replenishing ability here. So it says when Forge Warden replenishes fate, they gain, looks like luck. So they replenished fate. I assume that means on attack rolls. That might be something to clarify, because it just happens anytime anybody rolls a 20, and he rolled the 20, so he replenished fate. It could be referring to the Mechanica Strike, which is an ability he has that replenishes fate. But we'll go ahead and say that it counts for this time and do a little digging on that for the future. So he's going to get a condition we haven't seen before. Let me look up what that is. It is a blessing. They roll advantage on their next action roll, then discard this token. Cool. All right. So the opposite of that fatigue. Let's find the Lucky Charms here. There it is. Little 4-leaf clover. Put that over there. We'll put it next to him. And he does have one more action left, so we'll move up in their turn and onto the event roll. All right, the event roll is a 1, which means we trigger the Echo token. And the way I play this is that the Echo token lands here, and we actually are in the same area as the heroes. Areas are closed off by doors, and we didn't think to close any of these doors right now, which could have been a smart move. We could have closed this door with one of our actions, and then that would have counted as 2 areas once the doors closed. But we didn't do that, and we get to take a look at the Wandering Monster deck. We're going to activate the token since it's in the same area as the hero, and we look at the hero with the highest initiative. In this case, it's going to be Pathseeker, and so if we spawn a Wandering Monster, this spawn point right here is where that monster is going to come. So let's go ahead and shuffle the Wandering Monster. The campaign told us what particular cards to put in there. There's 2 monsters in here and then a couple different actions. So we're shuffling them up, and we're going to draw a card. Here's what we have. It's a giant spider. Yikes. This guy's nasty. 3 movement, a 12 target number. Flip it over to a heat up side. He's got a range of 2. He's got a confusion effect that he does. He's a beast. He inflicts a wound if he hits. And then he's also cautious. So he's cautious just like the way Raider is. So we'll put him out on the spawn point closest to Pathseeker, which is right where we are. And we need to reshuffle around with the spider in the initiative now. Token goes away for the time being. And we have Pathseeker, have the spider, Wild Shell, and Forge Warden. All right, so a new round begins. We didn't get all the way to the end of the round. Let's double check that we're doing all this right. Okay, so the event roll happens. We put out Echo token. The card is an enemy card. Place the enemy's model on the hero's tile on the tile spawn point. Yeah, highest initiative. Okay, so we've done all that, and now we collect them and reshuffle. So I think we still do resolving. Yeah, we do this now. Or we do that technically before the event roll. So that card, we'll go back a little bit. That card instructs us to return this card to the vault and add card C174 from the challenge aspect vault and then shuffle it into the deck. We'll do that in a second, and then we'll start this new round.